Right, as you can see by my computer clock there in the corner, it's the 21st of August 2024. It's 09:14 in the morning. I've just decided I'm going to make a short video about my recent fixtures of some Samsung microwave ovens I've come across. I'm no engineer, but it's just obviously I've had Samsung microwaves come across my ownership, shall we say, with slight problems with them, and I like messing about with things, and especially if I can fix the electrics. But obviously I'm disabled through stroke, so I haven't got the use of my left hand, so a lot of the time I've got to get help from my best friend, Jim, and he does all the intricate, like pulling the wires out and changing them out and this, that and that. But a lot of the well, first of all, I'd like to say, if you don't attempt this if you haven't got any clue as to what electrics can do to you. If you go in and start touching electrics, especially when it's being powered up, that silver capacitor down there can hold a lot of voltage for a long time. So you have to make sure you unplug it for a while, so that the voltage dissipates from the capacitor before going in there and messing around in the first place. So in this white tube, you've got a high voltage fuse. So basically, sometimes that can pop. So you have to replace that. It's a 5 volt, 0.8 amp high voltage fuse. Now, what I'm doing a video for is one slight mistake I made when we took the motherboard out there, the main PCB board, is remembering what all these bloody wires gone. So you've got pink on the top, blue in the middle and white at the bottom. Then you've also got to remember where all those little plugs go back on the motherboard in there. So I'm just bending down and pointing my camera up the way, so you've got, just to the right of the relays, you've got the pink one on the top and the white one on the bottom. And these two plugs have got little tabs on the side that you've got to squeeze in before you can pull them out. And then same on the top, I've got my lamp set up here to light it up even better, so I can see what I'm doing. But right next to the case and just underneath the thin ribbon, you've got the white plug. Once again, it's got those little tabs that you've got to squeeze in before you can pull them out. And then to the right of that, you've got the pink one. So I'm just making note of where the wires go before I strip out the motherboard. And to get the motherboard out, there's a screw down here just inside the casing on the bottom, and then there's one on the top on the inside the metal frame. So basically you've got to use a long screwdriver to get this key here, but that also then brings your hands closer to the transformer and where the capacitor is. So just be careful, either wear rubber gloves or just use extreme care. I mean, obviously I'm not encouraging anybody to come inside microwave ovens, because like I say, if you get a shot off this thing, it can stop your heart and kill you. So just be careful. But the other main problem is with microwaves when they don't work properly is the door switches in the frame there. There's three of them. There's one at the top there, there's one in the middle there, and one at the bottom. Now normally the ones I've found that's not working properly of late, of the 2 or 3 Samsung microwaves I've been messed about to fix, it's usually down to the bottom one, where you've got the thin orange wires going on blades that go on the blades of the micro switches, and on the top of them they've got little tiny switches that press down and press, and you know, they make a definite click sound when they're pushed down. If they don't, that means it's not working, it's not allowing the electricity to flow through them to switch everything on when you shut the door. So obviously, if that fuse is gone as well, and this high voltage fuse, it won't allow the transformer to send high voltage up to the magnetron here. That's the magnetron. So obviously if the magnetron's not working, you're not getting any microwaves. So anything you do put inside the microwave is not going to heat up. Now, how I got started on this journey is I got a Samsung microwave. This particular model is the MC28A5125 UK/EU for, you know, UK, EU for England, United Kingdom. Now this particular model when I got it, it wasn't working. Nothing happened when I pressed the start button, just at the bottom here. So we did a bit of investigation, and like I say, when we did eventually fix it, we fixed it by putting in a new white frame that holds the 3 micro switches. And obviously when we replaced it, obviously the bottom micro switch wasn't working, it wasn't making that definite click. So we replaced it with another. We just took the whole white frame out and replaced it with another white frame. It's held in by 2 screws, one at the top there and one at the bottom. And it's got 2 little hooks that hook onto the frame, as you can see there. So once we replace the bottom micro switch by putting a different white frame in that holds all 3, it's powered up definitely straight away. So the problem that we started off with was this one here, where when you press the start button, nothing was happening. So when we replaced the micro switches, everything worked again, great. Now this one I've just getting, this one's was doing exactly the same. Nothing was happening when you press the start button. So what I've done is I've gone in, unplugged everything, made sure I knew where they're all going to go back, and most important, this very thin micro ribbon, it's got where it goes into the motherboard, it goes into a white frame. Now on the outside of that there's like a pull out locking device. So before you pull this thin ribbon out, you've got to unlock the where it pushes into by pulling the outer frame. There's a frame goes around it, as you can see, and you've got to pull that out outwardly before you pull the ribbon out, otherwise you can damage the ribbon and then nothing will work from the motherboard, obviously. So these are the kinds of things I'm pointing out. So what I'm going to do to fix this one, because I've got another problem with this one, the top 6 buttons are all pushed in, they're not making any contact with the motherboard keyboard. So it's the top 6. So the only one that is working is the bottom start button and the stop. So now I know I've got to take this panel off, this fascia panel, go inside, go to the back of the PCB board and line up the buttons again so they work. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So this is why I'm making this video, to make note of where all these plugs go, so I can put them all back correctly once I've put back the front panel and put the ribbon in. So to get into that motherboard, I'm going to be pulling all these out, all of them, including the ribbon, and then taking the 2 screws out that hold the motherboard front panel on. Once you get the 2 screws out, that one at the top and that one on the inside of the casing at the bottom, it just lifts up slightly and then leans forward and comes out, so you can work on it. But it's best to unplug all the plugs out first while it's screwed in, for to get you know, so when you start pulling on the wires to pull them out of the motherboard, you've got a little bit of leeway. So I'm going to be doing that, taking off the front panel and then take the motherboard off by the small screws that hold that down. And then behind the motherboard there's a very thin metal diaphragm or whatever they call it, and that's where all your little push buttons are behind, where you make contact when you push the buttons on the front panel here. Now there's obviously something not right where the buttons are not making contact, so I'm going to have to take this front panel off, take the motherboard off with the 4 screws that hold it on, have a look at the metal diaphragm and then realign everything, and then hopefully put it back together, and these buttons will protrude like they're supposed to, and then when you press them, they operate the microwave as to what you want to do with them. Right, so I hope this is going to be helpful. I mean, this is how I got to know as much as I've got to do with watching loads of videos that people have put on YouTube, but obviously they've got, you know, the proper camera stuff. I'm just holding me GoPro 9 here and just going around the motherboard and the inside of the microwave to show you exactly where everything goes, so I can put it all back together. And that's the basics of, you've got your mains power that comes in here with your black wire, then you've got a little PCB board, the power board with a ceramic fuse on the top. Now I mean, in extreme measures, that is the fuse that would go to save the whole microwave going up and boom. So test that, viewers, first, obviously. Once you get the cover off, unplug everything, give it a few hours for the high voltage to dissipate from the capacitor before you go in here and work on anything. And then just go around all your wiring, your plugs, and just firmly push them back into where they go, because it may be just a case of a loose wire on the plug not making contact. And just underneath the white fuse holder here, as you can see, you've got a diode, a high voltage diode, which connects to the bottom frame, and the other end goes onto the left hand side of the capacitor there, just underneath this white tube. So that's been replaced. And another important thing here, when you take the front panel out with a motherboard in it, you've got your earth wire here. So basically you've got to connect that, disconnect that green thin wire, which is the earthen wire. So how I did the last one as well, when I disconnected all the wires and pushed them back to the right out the way, then I got those two screws, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then you can pull all those blades off beforehand. And just, like I say, you've got to try and remember where they go. So lots of people mark them with marker pens, felt tip pens or whatever, just to make sure they know exactly where everything goes back. And then you can wiggle the white frame out and bring it out here behind these wires again, and that's when you can get to the micro switches to replace them or make the connections good again, make sure the buttons are working. So that means that the micro switches are doing their job. Right, let's have a look at anything else. So I basically go in there and I get a very small thin bladed screwdriver, and I just touch the little switches that make the clicking sound when the hammer pushes them down, and if they make a definite click, you know that okay. Well, 99% of the time that means they're okay, but some of them get burnt out inside where the blades make contact inside them. But you can prise them apart and fix them temporarily if you haven't got any the right micro switches to go in your microwave. But you can peel them apart, clean them out, clean the terminals, and then put them back just as a temporary measure. But as you can see on the top blades there, you've got the white one with a black wire coming out of it. You've got the blade coming out, two skinny brown wires, and they're tie wrapped together, look. So the white one goes on the bottom, brown goes to the top. That's what you've got to try and remember. And then underneath that one, you've got like a double plug, and then on the right you've got the single plug, which is going down the way, and it's got a black felt tip pen across the two fascias. So that's to help you remember which way to put them back on, so you don't twist them and put them on the wrong way, so the terminals make the wrong connections. Right, so I think that's all I need to do, but this is just a quick video to help me for when I start pulling all these wires out, so I know exactly where to put them back when I put the front panel back on. With it, hopefully I'll fix this problem where the buttons are just all pushing in. Look, they're not making contact with anything. So that's the metal diaphragm behind, I think. That's not working properly. Right, so I'll stop recording for now.